contract negotiations between restricted free agent Jonathan Kaminga and the Warriors, they were at a little bit of a stalemate
It's
here.
going to be a bench role, what's probably going to be fluctuating minutes and accepting what will very likely be, a tradable contract, as they've mentioned.
Warriors offered a 3-year, $75 million deal last week.
Golden State Warriors are walking into training camp with only 9 players under contract. And the entire reason behind this roster crisis comes down to one 22-year-old forward, Jonathan Kaminga, who has turned their offseason into a toxic standoff that could derail the season before it even begins. Reports say that when owner Joe Lacob flew across the country for an emergency sit-down in Miami, the meeting spiraled into chaos. When Lacob asked Kaminga, "Do you want to be here?" Kaminga coldly shot back, "Do you even want me here?" That exchange captures the ugly reality of this relationship. According to ESPN's Tim McMahon, Kaminga is miserable in Golden State, and he's so eager to leave that he's considering walking away from tens of millions just to escape. Instead of locking into a 2-year, $45 million extension, he's seriously weighing a 1-year qualifying offer worth just $7.9 million, essentially leaving $37 million on the table, a decision almost unheard of for a player his age. And this isn't coming from a fringe bench guy either. Kaminga averaged 15.3 points last season on 45% shooting, and whenever Steve Kerr gave him consistent minutes, he flashed genuine star potential, including a 30-point playoff performance against Minnesota that proved his ceiling is real. Yet Kerr has openly admitted that fitting Kaminga alongside Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green for heavy minutes is difficult, which is basically code for, "He doesn't fit our system." That quote has fueled Kuminga's camp throughout negotiations, and every contract detail since has made things worse. The Warriors' recent offer was 3 years, $75.2 million, but with a team option on the final season, meaning only $48.3 million was guaranteed and no trade protection was included, signaling they only see him as a flexible trade chip. Earlier, they tried a 2-year, $45 million deal, again with a team option. Even when they offered a fully guaranteed 3-year, $54 million package, that still worked out to only $18 million annually, far below what Kaminga believes he's worth. His agent countered with 3 years, $82 million plus a player option, but the Warriors flat out rejected it, refusing to give him the control his side demanded. Meanwhile, rival teams have been circling. The Phoenix Suns reportedly offered a 4-year, $88 million deal with a player option and were willing to include Royce O'Neal and picks in a sign-and-trade, while the Sacramento Kings dangled a 3-year, $63 to $66 million offer with a player option and were open to moving Malik Monk and a future first-round pick. Both teams pitched him as a starter and future cornerstone, offering the kind of role and minutes Kaminga craves, yet the Warriors shot down every single conversation. They want to keep him, but only on their terms, wanting the flexibility to trade him when convenient while refusing to commit to him as a true cornerstone. That have their cake and eat it too approach has left the relationship at a breaking point. To make things sting even more for Warriors fans, some within the organization didn't even want Kaminga on draft night in 2021. They preferred Franz Wagner, who has since blossomed into a 24-point-per-game scorer and signed a $224 million extension with Orlando. Now Golden State is watching the player they actually picked spiral into a contract war that threatens to tear apart the present and the future of the franchise. And unless one side finally caves, this could become the defining disaster of the Warriors' post-dynasty era. The Warriors' front office drama around Jonathan Kaminga traces all the way back to draft night, when ownership and management split on who should be their guy. Several coaches reportedly wanted Franz Wagner, but team president Bob Myers and assistant GM Mike Dunleavy signed off on Joe Lacob's push to take Kaminga, a choice that now feels like the beginning of a slow-burn disaster. Look at the contrast. Wagner entered Orlando with no pressure, immediate starter minutes, and the freedom to make mistakes on a rebuilding team, playing 79 games his rookie season, starting all of them, and averaging 31 minutes a night, while Kaminga was dropped into the middle of a championship machine where every possession mattered, forced to claw for minutes behind Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins, punished with the bench for mistakes, and kept on a short leash even after showing flashes. The difference in opportunity is staggering. In year one, The Warriors won the title, while the Magic won just 22 games. But Wagner built habits and confidence with the ball in his hands, and Kuminga averaged only 16.9 minutes per game, starting just 12 of 70 contests. Fast forward 4 years, Wagner has played 291 games, starting every single one, developed into a 24-point scorer, and secured a $224 million max extension, while Kuminga has logged 258 games but started only 84, and now finds himself staring at contract offers worth less than half of Wagner's deal. A comparison that has to sting both him and the Warriors. At the center of all this is Joe Lacob, the driving force who pushed for Kuminga's selection, reportedly blocked trades that would have moved him, and has become both protector and obstacle to Kuminga's future. When the Bulls dangled Alex Caruso in exchange for Kuminga, Lacob said no. When the season ended in disappointment this May, Lacob and Kuminga were seen courtside at a Valkyries game, sparking hope that fences were mended, but behind the scenes, the tension never went away. By August, negotiations had collapsed so badly that Lacob boarded a cross-country flight to Miami for a Monday morning emergency meeting, landing at 10 a.m. sharp before flying back for a Valkyries game that same night. That's when the infamous confrontation happened. Lacob asked his young forward if he truly wanted to remain with Golden State, and Kuminga, looking the billionaire owner straight in the eye, flipped it back on him. "Do you even want me here?" That single question slices right into the heart of the conflict because the Warriors talk about wanting him, but their actions tell another story. They won't hand him the role or security he wants. They won't commit to him as part of their future, but they also refuse to let him leave for a team that would. With contract talks frozen, all signs now point to Kuminga considering the nuclear option, rejecting extensions, and playing out the season on the $7.9 million qualifying offer, which would make him an unrestricted free agent next summer. It's almost unprecedented for a player in his position, a bet-on-yourself gamble that comes with massive risk, but potentially massive reward, because next summer's market projects far more open cap space with franchises like Detroit, Brooklyn, and Washington hunting for talent. For Kuminga, it's a chance to break free and prove his value, but it's also a dangerous game with history as the warning sign. Just ask Nerlens Noel, who once turned down a 4-year, $70 million offer to take the qualifying route in Dallas, only to get injured, play 30 games, and end up stuck on minimum contracts while that $70 million evaporated forever. Kuminga is now staring at that same razor's edge. Stay trapped in Golden State's cycle of mixed signals, or gamble everything on a clean slate, knowing that one wrong step could cost him generational money, and one breakout season could change the entire trajectory of his career. The difference between Jonathan Kuminga's gamble and the infamous Nerlens Noel situation is massive. Kuminga is younger, healthier, and the gap between what he's asking for and what the Warriors are offering is closer to $13 million, not the $66 million Noel lost. But for Golden State, the idea of him taking the $7.9 million qualifying offer is a nightmare because it instantly gives Kuminga veto power over trades and puts them in real danger of losing him for nothing next summer, leaving veterans like Al Horford and others waiting in limbo for clarity, since the Warriors can't finalize new signings until they resolve his cap hold. And hovering over all of this is Steve Kerr, the coach who has delivered 4 championships but has never figured out what to do with Kuminga, shuffling him from out of the rotation to leading scorer in a playoff series in the span of 2 weeks, then burying him again after the team acquired Jimmy Butler at the deadline. Kerr justified it by pointing to Kuminga's inconsistent floor spacing and defense, but later admitted the Warriors never really gave him a fair chance alongside their stars, saying they planned to finally try that if he returned. Which raises the question, how do you draft someone 7th overall, hold him for 4 years, and only now think about giving him consistent run with your core? The inconsistency has been brutal for a 22-year-old trying to find his rhythm. Meanwhile, other restricted free agents this summer found their paths more straightforward. Cam Thomas settled for the qualifying offer in Brooklyn, Josh Giddey secured $100 million in Chicago, and Quentin Grimes is still waiting in Philadelphia. But none of them face the same double-edged sword as Kuminga. stuck on a franchise torn between clinging to 37-year-old Steph Curry's championship window and grooming its next generation. Golden State's so-called two-timeline strategy has collapsed in practice because you can't develop young talent while competing for titles unless you actually trust them with minutes. And Kerr has repeatedly shown he doesn't trust Kuminga in big moments. That's why the most logical move might have been to trade him this summer. Sacramento's offer of Malik Monk and a first-rounder was real value, as was Phoenix's package built around Royce O'Neal and picks, both deals that would have fit Golden State's system better right now. But instead, the Warriors refused, clinging to the idea they could have it both ways. And now they're stuck as the only team in the NBA that hasn't made a single standard roster transaction this entire offseason because of this stalemate. With training camp days away, it's embarrassing for a franchise once hailed as the model of stability and development. The deadline for Kuminga to decide on the qualifying offer looms on October 1st, and reporting suggests there has been little communication between the two sides for weeks, with the Warriors stubbornly clinging to a team option in every offer, and Kuminga's camp just as stubborn about demanding a player option. Even their recent 3-year, $75 million offer falls flat because of the same clause, like serving a bigger meal when the person has already told you they're vegetarian. It completely misses the point. GM Mike Dunleavy said months ago they wanted to resolve Kuminga's future quickly, but here they are with camp approaching and nothing settled. And the cost isn't just financial, it's cultural. It's about the message you send your locker room and your young players. Golden State once prided itself on developing Steph, Klay, and Draymond from scratch, turning them into legends through trust and opportunity. But Kuminga's experience has been the opposite. Inconsistent minutes, constant trade rumors, lowball offers, and now the very real possibility of losing a former lottery pick for nothing because the organization couldn't decide whether to commit to him or cut bait. For a team that practices less than any other due to its aging stars, heading into camp with chaos, new faces, and unresolved contracts is a recipe for disaster. And it signals to future draft picks that Golden State may no longer be the place where young talent thrives. The sad truth is, Jonathan Kuminga is good, very good, averaging 15 points on 45% shooting at just 22 years old, with elite athleticism and star-level upside when trusted with minutes. But the Warriors have mishandled him from day one, treating him like a trade chip instead of a future cornerstone, and now they're shocked that he wants out. Reports describe the subliminal understanding that every offer is more about trade flexibility than a real commitment, and Kuminga sees right through it. So where does that leave us? Likely with him taking the qualifying offer, spending this season angry and motivated, and then walking out the door next summer for nothing. Both sides lose. Kuminga loses guaranteed money and another year of development in a system that doesn't value him, while the Warriors lose a 7th overall pick, a young talent, and get absolutely nothing in return. No matter how this ends, there will be no winners, just a dynasty slowly eroding under the weight of indecision.